All right. Good morning. Happy Friday to everyone. It is our last day for Longmont Startup Week 2020, and we have a lovely day. Beth will be back in just a little bit after this session, too, but an entire day on company and team building and personal development, which I'm very excited for. But for now, I just get to turn it over to you, Beth, for our last mindful morning with Beth this week. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Morgan, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I tell people all the time I don't teach because I know something other people don't. I teach to continue my own journey around these practices, and certainly it's been a quite rich week for me experiencing the practices as I share them with you. So I thought I'd just take a moment to talk a little bit about yesterday we talked about inquiry. And if you're joining us perhaps for the first time, we're working with an acronym RAIN: recognize, allow, inquiry, and nourish. And we're at the end of RAIN today. Our topic is nourish. And let's go back for a moment on inquiry and offer a question for you as you continue to explore that part of the RAIN practice. And that's this question around asking ourselves all this mind activity that we have. The question is this true? So certainly we're not using this question and that practice as a way to sort of get into a banter with ourselves if it is or it isn't, but really offering ourselves a way to drop below all of the storyline and the mind activity that we have, that a lot of our thoughts are repeated thoughts, right? So we're not trying to push those out, we're recognizing them. But we're coming back to this question of, is this true, as a way to sort of balance the scales, if you will, because we get very misbalanced and we believe a lot of what sort of mind activity that we have. The other thing I wanted to just mention is these practices really are they're as relevant now, and they're always relevant. And the whole intent of these practices is to help us befriend ourselves, have a more friendly relationship with ourselves, and then certainly to have a more befriended relationship with all of the experiences that we have. So mindful awareness is the practice of becoming aware, but not just becoming aware, but becoming aware in a particular way. And in these practices, that particular way is a sense of care and loving kindness, which certainly nourish is going to be where we bring all of this kind of full circle and really land more today in that self-care piece. So let's, as we have been, let's go ahead and begin to take a transition moment. And if you've been attending, these transition moments are really great moments to just notice that we're shifting from one thing to another. And we'll practice a little bit longer this morning in the beginning and the end. So this morning, I'd like to offer again the words we ended with yesterday. And these are questions that my mentor and teacher and friend, La Sarmiento, has shared with me. I love that yesterday I shared these, and it was La's birthday. I didn't know it was their birthday until later in the day. So these are quite precious inquiries to share in honor of La's birth. So find your body sitting in a chair or standing, lying down, whatever arrangement that you're in. And allow your body to be upright yet relaxed, so that uprightness you can sort of allow yourself to lift your body up with intention, but then relax about 20%, allowing the body to sort of soften. And I'll offer these 4 questions. Am I feeling connected or disconnected right now? Am I feeling empowered or disempowered? Is my heart open or closed? And right now, am I suffering? Am I having some difficulty? Or do I feel free? And we'll take a transition moment to transition to a different practice as we allow those questions to sort of resonate in our inner experience and check them out. We'll shift now to do a full body scan. You can connect with your breath for a few more moments as we transition to a different practice. Noticing the body breathing, its natural breath. No effort required. The body knows how to breathe. And if you've not done a full body scan before, we're going to start at the top of our head, and we'll scan our body for sensation and see what we're aware of all the way down to our feet. And we'll take a few minutes here in this practice to do this together. So gather your attention and bring it to the top of your head, to the crown of the head, actually. And if your eyes are closed, you can open them, and I'll demonstrate. If you imagine a string is connected to the crown of your head right here, it helps a lot with the alignment of your spine. And there's also this sense you can see as I do it, as if someone was pulling on that string, that the body naturally, if you allow the body naturally to follow the intonation of the slight pull of a string, it'll help your spinal alignment some. And now just notice what sensation you have actually at the top of your head, the crown of your head. Sensing for any sensations there. Now bring your awareness to your face. And if you'd like, you can take an in-breath, and on the out-breath, you can allow the out-breath, as the out-breath draws the body down, to use that as a signal to the face that it can soften and relax, can actually sort of just let the tension sort of melt with that out-breath. You may also use the way to soften the face is to not even smile, but it's the idea or the intent of smiling. So it's like an inner smile, and that will also help the face relax. Now take a moment to just notice any sensations and all over on your head. And coming now to your neck and your throat. Anything you're sensing, feeling. Now move your awareness to your shoulders. Allow your awareness to move down to both arms, the upper arm, the lower arm, and your hands. Perhaps taking an extra moment with the palm of your hands, sensing for any temperature or texture they're resting on. And now bring your awareness to your back. upper and lower back. And should you notice any pain in the body, just allow that to be a sensation that you're noticing. If your mind gets active with that, bring your mind back to your body. Just allow whatever's in the body, the sensations in the body, to be there. Now draw your awareness to your chest and your abdomen, or the front of your torso. And bring your awareness now to your hips and your bottom sitting on the chair if you're seated. Sensing the pelvic area. Now take a moment to sense and feel the whole of the upper body, hips all the way to the top of your head. And see what you notice in sensing this part of the body together. Perhaps you can feel its denseness or fullness. You may even be able to sense the space inside the body. Now draw your awareness to your legs, to your thighs, the back of the thighs and the upper part of the thighs, the top of the thighs. Your knees. Bring your awareness now to the lower part of the leg, your calves and your shins. Further down to your ankles. And then finally arriving at your feet, sensing the top of the feet. And the bottom, the soles of the feet. You can sense the surface that the soles may be resting on, the texture. And as we prepare to end this practice, you can take just a few moments to connect back with your breath. And if your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes. Much like I anticipated, that's you notice that moment of transition is a little different when we do a whole body scan. There's a different experience of, I actually feel a lot more grounded and calm. So it's, for me, right, moving into talking now and you moving into listening, there's almost like, okay, that's a pretty big shift. So just take a moment to notice that. So I've mentioned Tara's book each morning. Her book is Radical Compassion. And in this book, it's her latest book, she is teaching these practices in the structure of RAIN: recognize, allow. She uses investigate and nurture for the N. So I'm using the word nourish. And in some way, the way Tara teaches it and the way I'm teaching it, there's a lot of similarities, certainly. But the word nourish for me somehow connects for me in a way that is more meaningful. Nourish has something to do with, I don't know, I always think of like nourish as like taking a cool glass of water and drinking it and having this sense of feeling my body nourished by a cool glass of water. So somehow that fits for me. What I love about these practices is you can radio dial tune them and help them work best for you in your practice. You know, the beautiful thing about being human and our human existence is we're all so unique. So I think when we learn practices like this, we need to shape them to make them be meaningful for ourselves. So I'd just like to say a couple of things, and then we're going to go into another practice. And I'm offering this practice from Vinnie Fierro, and I've adapted it a bit, and so we'll end with that. But I just wanted to say a few things about Nourish in particular. So I know, I haven't traveled on an airplane in the last many months. I think it was February the last time I did any air travel. I'm certain many of you have not been in an airplane for a while. But there's something that always happens when I travel in an airplane that reminds me of Nourish and these mindful awareness practices. So when the flight attendants are doing their thing, and we all sort of, know what they do, they say, this and where the exits are. And then they usually end with what to do when the air masks fall. And their advice is so pertinent to what we're doing here with Nourish. And flight attendants always say you put your mask on first before attempting to assist other travelers, right? And it's just such a great reminder that we so often get pulled out into the world and our work and our families, our friendships, things we care a lot about, our communities, our churches, where we're doing a lot of caretaking for others. And we forget about caretaking for ourselves. So the real appeal here in Nourish, in this part of the practice, is to remember that we can't really be of assistance to others in the full ability that we have to do that unless we're doing that for ourselves. Certainly, doing so in a way that is meaningful, right? So these practices have certainly been helpful to me. The other metaphor that I really like a lot around why Nourish is so important and is often used in teaching these practices is the metaphor of the ocean. So I didn't grow up around the ocean. When I was a kid, I only saw the ocean once before I went to college, actually. But then afterwards, once I was in college, the ocean was just a very important place for me. So if you've spent time in the ocean and around the ocean, or if you haven't, one of the basic principles around being in the ocean is to realize that really it's the top several feet of the ocean that is the most turbulent part of the ocean. And it can be frightening, right? I've had experiences in the ocean. I imagine that you have too. It would be hard to be in the ocean a lot without having an experience of getting in that turbulence and the ocean sort of having its way with you. So we can use that as a metaphor for our life, right? When we're living our life at the top level of our life, where all this turbulence is, and we don't remember that the calm is actually when we go down below that turbulence. So the recognize and rain is helping us see what's going on in this turbulence, and we have those moments of okay, good time to practice, and then we can not push it away. We can allow it, but we can start to go a little deeper in the practice until we get to inquiry, where we start to get interested in our mind, in our body, our emotions, our heart. Like, what is really going on? And then Nourish actually becomes this deep reservoir that we all have that we forget about. That if we can see the turbulence and remember it for what it is, and know that we can use these practices to access this deeper calm that is really always there, and yet we forget. So part of the practice of following the breath, right? And so we might be able to follow the breath for part of a breath or a few breaths, and then the mind wanders off. It's about remembering to bring the mind back, and that's a powerful moment of awareness, because you're already back when you're like, oh, thinking, and you come back. So practicing that over and over again is helpful when we're in that turbulence, to remember, oh, there is actually something other than the turbulence here. So before we move to the practice to end our time together, I'd like to offer you one more question to explore. And this question is helping us identify from a nourished standpoint what we need. And the question is quite simple. It's what do I most need right now? And when I first heard this question, and still even today, when I ask myself this question, or I'm asked this question by another practitioner or someone I love that practices, I can feel a sense of like, well, gosh, if I knew what I most needed right now, I would be doing that, right? So I sort of rail with this question at times. So certainly, if you have a reaction to the question of like, well, gosh, if I knew that, I'd be doing it. That's really okay. Explore that too. But it is so important that we find a way to ask ourselves what we most need. Because if we don't, we're going to stay in all that turbulence and keep recreating a sense of turbulence until we have a moment of awareness when we can say, oh, what's going on? Can I be with this? Staying with it. And then that next thing is really, what do I most need right now? So let's allow those words to sort of rest in your awareness. And we're going to shift here and practice together from this guided meditation that I've borrowed and adapted a bit from Vinny Fierro. So go ahead and shift now into practicing. So finding your body seated, lying down, or standing. And this posture of upright yet relaxed is one of the reasons we use that is to invoke a sense of dignity. So if we're sort of over like this or too upright, we're really trying to find a sense of our own human dignity in a moment of our posture. And begin to allow yourself to settle here in that feeling of a sense of dignity in your body. Certainly you can close your eyes if you'd like. Closing our eyes helps us tend to our inner world in some ways better. And start to follow now not just the normal breath, but actually engage with the breath a bit here and take a little bit deeper breaths. No need to take big, billowy breaths, but just a little bit more deep breath. Little deeper breaths in and out. And allow this deeper breath to sort of have a sense of washing over you. Perhaps even through you, the breath breathing you even. No effort needed here. So this is enlivening the sensations of the breath in a way to nourish us. This is your home base. This is a place you can always come back to in the turbulence of life. The pause to recognize that, allow it to be there. You can come back to this place, your body, this home base, your breath. The tone here is one of being relaxed, yet aware. So it's not a sleepy relaxed. It's a sense of softened relaxation, but yet open and aware. You can go back now just for a moment to connect with the rhythm of the breath, the natural rhythm of the breath. As the mind wanders, with great care and gentleness, that's the moment to tend when you notice it. Gently bring your mind back to the body and the breath. And as you're ready, you can drop that final practice. It's interesting, both of those practices this morning for me, the transitions away from them, I noticed like, oh, that's the transition's a little bit harder to go back to talking for me and perhaps for you listening. Well, this brings to a close the 5 morning sessions and offerings on mindful awareness using recognize, allow, inquiry, and nourish. And my deepest hope and wish is that you, in this time we've spent together, have discovered some new awarenesses and some new ways to be in your life and in your own inner experience of your life. So please let me know. You can reach out to me through Facebook. I'm Beth A. Smith, or on LinkedIn. Those are the 2 social media outlets that I tend to. If I can be of help to you in any way, reach out to me. I'm so grateful for your presence here. Thank you so much for your attention and attending these sessions. Be well, my friends.